Hey guys, it's John here. Welcome back to Pico Cosmos. I have another rare vintage Sea-Monkey tank review for you today, but this time I'm a little more excited than usual because this tank is so rare that it's become a bit of an enigma in the Sea-Monkey community. In fact, even finding photos of it is difficult. I recently managed to track this one down though, so today I'm super excited to show you the Sea-Monkey Circus tank. Make sure to stay to the end of the video too to find out how you can win a Sea-Monkeys Ocean Zoo that I'll be giving away to one of my subscribers. The Sea-Monkeys Circus tank was released by Moose Toys in 1998 and was sold for around 5 years before being discontinued in the early 2000s. It has some really unique features that makes it quite different from any other Sea-Monkey tank I've ever reviewed on the channel before. I've actually been trying to find one of these to buy online for almost 2 years without any luck. So you can imagine that when I got a message from Todd Machin saying he'd lend me this one from his collection to review on the channel, I was over the moon. Todd's the official illustrator for Transcience and also a long-time Sea-Monkey collector, and he's been a huge help in putting this video together. This isn't actually the first circus-themed kit though. In fact, Sea-Monkeys has a long-running history of circus tanks that goes all the way back to 1963 with this vintage Sea-Monkey Circus aquarium. It was made of cardboard and was also collapsible. It even came with a pop-up audience to watch your sea monkeys as they swim and perform tricks. I'll leave a link to this 1964 patent of the product in the video description for anybody who's interested in reading more about it. There was also the Sea Monkeys in their Light Up Sea Circus set, which came out 25 years later in 1988. It was an Ocean Zoo style tank that had the light built into a lid with different coloured filters. The lid could be removed and replaced in front of the tank so that its light projected the shadows of your swimming sea monkeys onto a cardboard theatre screen behind them. And then 10 years later in 1998, Moose Toys from Australia released this tank that has a completely novel take on the circus theme. I don't have the original box with me here today, but Todd was kind enough to send over some photos from his collection for me to share with you, and I'm really glad he did too, because there's a lot of info on here. On the front of the box at the top we have the words, "Amazing Life Sea-Monkeys Circus." Something interesting I noticed here is that the Moose logo says Moose's Sea-Monkeys Circus, almost as if Moose Toys is laying claim to the Sea-Monkeys IP, which was of course owned by Transcience. I've been told that the creator of Sea-Monkeys, Harold von Braunhart, wasn't particularly happy with this. Perhaps that's why a year later when the racetrack was released, the apostrophe S has been removed from the Moose logo. Coming down we have a cutout window showing the tank, which is modelled off the well-known shape of a circus tent. I'll go over it in more detail soon so you can see how everything works. Surrounding the tank are circus-themed illustrations. The style of the artwork is a little two-dimensional, but there's also something charming about how terrible the characters look. Perhaps it's just my childhood nostalgia, but I really like the overall look here. The bottom right-hand corner says that this tank has a built-in aerator, which is cool to see. I'm excited to try it out and see how well it works. Turning over to the backing, you'll see that this box is crammed with info. And that's because unlike other Sea-Monkey products, Moose kits often didn't come with an instruction sheet. The large illustrations here are eye-catching and give a good overview of what makes this set unique. It claims to turn the owner of the Sea Monkeys into a circus ringmaster, where you can change the position of the plastic animal aquarium ornaments which sit at the base of the tank. It also shows how you can create a night show by using a torch, a bit of a callback to the Sea Monkeys in their Light Up Sea Circus kit from the decade prior. I'll definitely be trying this out. I love this illustration of the sea monkey using the built-in aerator tool. For some reason, the idea of sea monkeys also having pet sea monkeys is quite funny to me. The left-hand side gives some really detailed instructions for preparing the tank and starting your Sea-Monkey Circus colony. It's quite specific about the order in which these steps need to be taken, so I'll make sure to follow them carefully for the setup. Let's take a look at the tank itself. It's designed to look like a circus tent, which ties in the theme to the tank really nicely. My first impression is that the build quality is quite poor, as the plastic isn't too difficult to bend. It's still more than adequate for a sea monkey tank though, so I don't see it being an issue. The one I have here has a blue base and lid, but the tank also came in yellow and green too. The first thing you'll notice about its shape is that it's curved and very narrow. In fact, it's almost two-dimensional. This was a real deviation from the standard shape of the Sea-Monkey Ocean Zoo tanks that preceded it. I recently spoke to Brian Hammersfeld, who was the founder of Moose Toys all the way back in 1988, to see if I could get some more info on why this kit has such an unusual shape. He told me that sea monkeys were a personal love of his during his time at Moose, and that he played a big role in the production of the circus kit. Brian said, "It was an amazing product to develop, but was a tooling challenge. The beauty of the tank was that it had a huge screen, and viewing the sea monkeys was fantastic, as the tank was only around 2 centimeters thick, so they couldn't hide from you." I have to agree with Brian's reasoning here. I think the thin shape was a really great design choice, at least from a viewing perspective. It'll be interesting to see if it bothers the sea monkeys living in a tank that feels so flat though. I think there's also some inspiration here from early ant farms, which were similarly shaped, and sometimes they even came with small themed plastic decor, very much like what you see in this tank here. In fact, in many ways, sea monkeys are really just an aquatic version of the ant farm, so it's unsurprising to see these similarities. Over on the right hand side, we have the built-in hand pump aerator that I mentioned earlier. This is really cool to see, and it's one of the features that makes this tank so unique. I'll show you how it works in more detail once it's all set up. The base of the tank is an imprint of the Moose logo, with the words Sea-Monkeys Circus written along the bottom. On the underside it says that it was made in Australia, but it's quite small and hard to make out. The top of the circus tent does come off, but not particularly easily. I get the feeling it's not really designed to be removed regularly, which is more than likely why there's a small hole up top which allows you to easily feed them. By taking it off, we can get a closer look at the decor inside, and this cardboard graphic tank insert. Now this doesn't appear to be waterproof or anything, so it's meant to be taken out before you set it up and then placed on the outside of the back of the tank. The insert depicts a circus show in action, with sea monkeys performing tricks before a large audience. We can get a closer look at the plastic decor circus characters now too. There's a bunch placed along here, and you can reposition them how you like. You'll notice a few small holes in the base too. This is where the air bubbles are supposed to come out when the air pump is used, so it'll be interesting to see if this works as intended. Before I give you my review of this tank, I need to test it out for a few weeks first, so I think it's about time we get this thing set up so we can finally see it in action. I'm going to start off by removing the flag from the top of the tank, because the back of the box says it's not supposed to be flown until the sea monkeys are actually swimming around in there. I'll take out this hanging sea monkey acrobat too. It has a little hoop for your sea monkeys to swim through, so I'll test that out once they're fully grown. Next I need to remove the tank lid and pour in distilled water. Something cool about this tank is that it has a water level fill line molded directly into the plastic on the right hand side. I really like when they add these into the design because it makes this step that little bit easier. Next up I'll pour in the water purifier from pouch 1 and the instant live eggs in pouch 2. I'm using a fresh Sea Monkey starter kit for this setup today, so hopefully we'll get a decent hatch rate. I need to be a little more careful than usual here to make sure I don't spill any of the salts over the sides of this narrow tank. The lid is definitely a little tricky to get back on, and I have a feeling this might get frustrating. Usually I'd use an aqua leash after this to mix up all of these salts, but since we have a built-in aerator, it might be fun to test that out instead. The base has a few holes along the bottom that are supposed to disperse the bubbles across the length of the tank. I can see what they were going for here, and it does kinda work, but it's a bit inconsistent. It still does a decent job of aerating the tank with oxygen though. For the next few weeks I'm going to keep the tank on this windowsill with a small under-tank heat pad to make sure it stays nice and warm. Our Moose Toys mascot here has agreed to hold on to the sea monkey's feeding spoon just to make sure it doesn't get lost. I'll also put some purple grow lights next to the tank to aid in the development of green algae. I'll check back in with you soon once the first sea monkeys have hatched. Hey guys, it's been almost 2 days and there are a bunch of sea monkey babies swimming around in the tank now. This means we can put the red flag onto the big top lid to signify that the circus is officially in session. It should take 4 to 6 weeks from here on out until our sea monkeys are fully grown. So I'll give you guys an update and a circus show once the colony in here is well established. Hey guys, it's been 6 weeks since the tank's set up, and I'm happy to say that the sea monkey colony has established itself well in the circus tank. We're shifting into autumn here in New Zealand, so the temperature has begun to drop a little, so their growth was a little slower than what I'm used to, but the heat pad has definitely helped to keep things warm. There's around 15 adults in the tank now, and a few mating pairs, which is a sign of the tank's good health. The experience of keeping sea monkeys in here has been really different to any of the other tanks I've reviewed on this channel in the past, but before I give you guys my full review, there are a couple of things I'd like to do first. You'll remember there's an extra piece of decor that hangs down from the lid of the tank through the feeding hole. It's a swinging sea monkey character with a hoop for your aquatic pets to swim through. I love little interactive elements like this. It's something so simple, but it adds another layer of fun to this kit. There's also the cardboard circus backdrop that it came with. It's a little tricky, but you can slot it in behind the tank between the blue base and the tank wall. It's fun to try out, but it blocks a lot of the light getting into the tank and makes it more difficult to watch the sea monkeys as they swim around, so I've chosen not to use it. I'm surprised to see that there hasn't been too much algae growth in this tank yet. There's a little down in the base that the red circus characters sit on, but nothing on the characters themselves. I've been feeding these guys mostly live algae too, which usually helps to kickstart its growth, but it doesn't seem to have taken hold quite yet. My only guess is that it's because the days have begun to get a lot shorter here, so it could be from the reduction of sunlight exposure. It doesn't seem to have affected the sea monkeys though, as they still seem to be in good health. It's finally time for us to sit back and enjoy the late night Sea-Monkey Circus show now too. The back of the box says to shine a torch through the tank, which projects the shadow of the swimming sea monkeys onto a wall behind them. I found that keeping the light source around 30 centimeters or 1 foot from the tank does a really nice job of casting the sea monkeys onto a white wall, and you can make the projection as large as you like. This was surprisingly cool to watch. I found it quite relaxing too, and I think it'd make an awesome bedroom nightlight. Over the last few weeks, the Sea-Monkey Circus tank has quickly become one of my favorites. The narrow design provides a huge open window for viewing the sea monkeys as they swim around the tank, so from that perspective, I think it's the best tank I've ever used. I found its convex shape a little unnecessary though. My guess is that it's curved to better give the impression of a circus tent, which is cool, and it doesn't really affect the viewing experience, but it did make filming the close-up shots for this video slightly more tricky. Personally, I'd prefer it to have a completely flat front to the tank, but my guess is that I'm probably in the minority here. Since this tank is only around 2 centimeters wide, it's too narrow to accommodate the small USB aquarium heaters that I usually like to use for my sea monkey tanks, which isn't a huge deal, but it would have been handy to be able to fit one in here. I really like that the lid has a feeding hole. It was convenient to use and a welcome addition that I'd like to see incorporated into more sea monkey tanks in the future. The lid of the tank isn't ideal in every aspect though. It's a bit awkward to take on and off, though fortunately it's not necessary to do that too often because of the built-in air pump. My hope was that this aerator would be able to completely replace an electric air pump, where I could just manually pump it a few times a day. And while it does kinda work, there are two issues I've had with it. The first is that when you press down on the air pump, it slightly raises the aquarium decor characters and the base that they sit on. There's a chance that a sea monkey could get trapped underneath it when this happens, which definitely wouldn't end too well. The second is that somehow the sea monkeys can actually get sucked up into the air pump's tube when you're using it, which is really worrying. My biggest fear is that they'd get sucked in there when they're small, and then they grow enough inside it that they're too large to then swim back out, destined to live out the rest of their lives inside the air pump's tube. The red circus characters inside the tank are a fun addition. They add some more surface area for algae growth and give the sea monkey something to interact with. I like how their design matches the illustrations from the box packaging too, which ties everything together nicely. Overall, I really like the Sea-Monkey Circus kit. The shape makes the viewing experience so much better than the other tanks I've tried, and it makes the volume feel larger too. It's a shame that finding it to buy on the second-hand market is next to impossible, because I'd love for others in the community to get a chance to try this one out, so hopefully this video will do for now. I want to hear from you guys though. Let me know down in the comments whether you like this narrow tank design or not. Personally, I think it's great, and I'd love to see an updated version of the Sea-Monkey Circus from Transcience in the future. Now, if you'd like to enter the giveaway to win a Sea-Monkeys Ocean Zoo tank, simply leave a comment on this video and I'll pick a random winner in 4 weeks from now and send you the tank color of your choice. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.